Taurus. The week begins with a truth you can no longer comfortably ignore. And what makes it unsettling is that part of you already knew. Mercury enters Gemini and immediately collides with Uranus, activating your thoughts, finances, priorities, and self-worth. Something unstable becomes obvious. Maybe it's a spending pattern. Maybe it's emotional exhaustion. Maybe it's the realization that you've been carrying a responsibility that no longer belongs to you. But this week removes the illusion that things can continue exactly as they are. And strangely, that may become your liberation. Because Mars enters your sign this week for the first time in a long while, and suddenly your energy changes. You become more stubborn, more physically present, more resistant to outside pressure. The problem is that Mars in Taurus doesn't move quickly. It moves decisively. So if you've been emotionally hesitating, this transit forces a choice, especially in relationships. Venus enters Cancer on May 19th, softening your emotional world and making communication far more intimate than usual. Someone may open up unexpectedly. A conversation becomes more vulnerable than planned. Or you may finally admit to yourself that what you need emotionally is different from what you've been pretending to need. This week has a strong, quiet confession energy around it. Not dramatic declarations, quiet truths. And those truths matter because the Sun enters Gemini later in the week and immediately conjoins Uranus, creating a sudden shift in perspective around value, security, or identity. Something external may change quickly. Schedules, finances, priorities, agreements. But emotionally, the deeper shift is internal. You are redefining what stability actually means. Not comfort, not routine. Real stability, the kind that survives change. Around the middle of the week, you may notice yourself emotionally withdrawing for a moment. Not because you don't care, because you're trying to process too many feelings at once. Venus square Neptune later in the week creates emotional fog, nostalgia, longing, and confusion about expectations. Do not assume people can read your silence correctly. If you need reassurance, ask for it. If you need space, explain it. This week punishes emotional guessing games. There's also a strong possibility of reconnecting with something from the past, an old idea, unfinished project, abandoned goal, or even a person whose emotional imprint never fully left your life. But be careful not to romanticize memory. Neptune can make the past feel softer than it actually was. Look at reality, not longing. Still, there is healing here, especially if you stop measuring your worth through usefulness. Taurus, you are not only valuable when you are dependable. You are allowed to rest before collapse. You are allowed to receive care without earning it through exhaustion. And honestly, that may be the hardest lesson of the entire week. By the weekend, something becomes emotionally clear. Not necessarily resolved, but clearer. You begin understanding what needs to remain, what needs to evolve, and what has quietly reached its natural ending point. The strange thing is, once you stop resisting the shift, your nervous system finally starts calming down.
Taurus, your tarot card is the Seven of Cups. This is a week of emotional and mental fog. Not because you are incapable of clarity, but because too many possibilities are pulling on your attention at once. The Seven of Cups appears when fantasy, longing, fear, and hope begin blending together emotionally. You may romanticize an option this week simply because it offers emotional escape, or you may feel overwhelmed trying to determine which direction is truly aligned. Slow down. This card does not warn against dreaming. It warns against abandoning discernment. Someone around you may also be emotionally unclear with their intentions. Listen carefully to what is actually being offered instead of what you wish was being offered. And emotionally, this card asks a deeper question. What do you genuinely want now that your old emotional survival patterns are beginning to change? That answer matters more than you currently realize.
Taurus, you get hexagram 31, Lake over Mountain, Influence. This is a hexagram of attraction, emotional resonance, and quiet influence. Someone's presence affects you more deeply this week than you initially admit. Not necessarily through dramatic action, through emotional atmosphere. And the deeper message here is mutuality. Influence warns against forcing emotional outcomes. The strongest connections now emerge naturally, gently, through authenticity rather than control. You may also notice yourself becoming more emotionally sensitive than usual. Music, memories, conversations, even silence may affect your heart more strongly this week. That sensitivity is important. It is guiding you toward what truly nourishes you emotionally instead of what merely stabilizes your routine. Let yourself feel honestly, without immediately trying to manage or contain every emotion.
Taurus, your rune is Ansus. Ansus is the rune of communication, insight, revelation, and messages that alter perspective. This is a powerful mental and emotional rune for you this week. Something important may be spoken, revealed, understood, or clarified now. A conversation changes your emotional understanding of someone, or intuition suddenly connects pieces that previously felt confusing. Pay attention to repeated phrases, dreams, coincidences, and unexpected conversations. The universe is trying to communicate through patterns. Ansus also warns against emotional silence becoming isolation. If something matters deeply, say it. This rune favors truth spoken carefully over feelings endlessly suppressed. And emotionally, the deeper lesson here is that clarity often arrives through dialogue instead of internal overprocessing alone. What needs to be understood this week cannot remain hidden forever.
This week asked you to slow down long enough to hear what your spirit has been trying to say beneath the noise. Some truths arrived gently, others arrived suddenly, but all of them were trying to guide you back toward emotional alignment instead of emotional survival. If this reading resonated with you, leave a comment sharing what area of your life changed unexpectedly this week. I always love seeing how these energies unfold differently for each of you. And remember to also watch your rising sign horoscope. Very often, your rising sign reveals the deeper emotional storyline unfolding beneath the surface events. Take care of your heart this week, and I'll see you again soon beneath the stars.